I'd like to call the February 1st, 2021 school board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Here.
Mrs. Casper?
Here.
Dr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mrs. Cocker?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Mr. McCray?
Here.
Mr. Negrini?
Here.
Mr. Schneider?
Here.
And Mr. Hart?
Here.
9 present, 0 absent.
Please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We do not have any public participation on agenda items, but Mr. Morales, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I do not, but thank you.
Okay, we did meet in executive session this evening for personnel issues. Looking for a motion to request approval to approve the minutes of the school board meeting held on January 19th, 2021.
Martin moves.
Mr. Martin first, second.
McCray.
Mr. McCray, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Payment of bills, Mr. Martin.
Yes, Mr. President, I submit for approval payment of bills tonight of $1,492,936.56.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Schneider, second.
Mr. Schneider, second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes,
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Fadley.
Thank you, President Hart. Present this evening the superintendent's report inclusive of personnel and program recommendations. Prior to the board voting on these recommendations, I would like to acknowledge a few employees who will be retiring from the Wilson School District. First, Veronica Andes, Supervisor of Curriculum K-8, with 27 years of service to the district. Next, Jeffrey Brubaker, Physical Education Teacher at Southern Middle School, 30 years of service to the Wilson School District. Deborah Chestnut, Wilson Virtual Academy Coordinator, with 22 and a half years of service to the Wilson School District. Vicki Jones, Learning Support Teacher at Green Valley, with 18 years of service to the Wilson School District. Donald Keener, Science Teacher at the high school, with 28 years of service to the Wilson School District. Robin Timpson, Chemistry Teacher at the high school, with 23 years of service to the Wilson School District. And Linda Weitzel, Preschool Assistant, Berkshire Heights, with 20 years of service to the Wilson School District. I'd like to wish all of these individuals well in their next endeavor in phase of life, and thank them personally for their service to the Wilson School District community for so many years.
Thank you, Dr. Fadley. Looking for motion to approve superintendent items 4.1 through 4.7 as attached.
Cocker.
Mrs. Cocker first. Do you have a second?
Casper.
Mrs. Casper, any discussion?
Mr. Hart, if I may.
You may.
I've certainly had the pleasure of knowing a number of teachers during my time on the board, certainly administrators as well. Veronica Andes and Deb Chestnut has brought a tremendous amount of value to this district during their time in their positions. Deb Chestnut in her position and at a time where, Wilson was adding this virtual aspect to education, was kind of at the forefront of things. And She deserves a lot of credit for where that Wilson Virtual Academy has gone to through the years. Veronica Andes is perhaps one of the nicest human beings that I've ever had the pleasure of dealing with during my time here on the board. It will be a tremendous loss to the district in seeing the retirement of Mrs. Timpson. Her background and experience are second to none. My oldest had the privilege of taking her honors chemistry class, and she will be very difficult to replace in the future. And finally, my thanks to Donald Keener. My oldest is taking his forensic class this year, and because of everything that he brings to the classroom each and every day, my daughter has changed her future plans from the hard sciences to the social sciences, in large part because of Mr. Keener's class. So thank you to all of the administrators and teachers that are retiring, and especially those that have had a great impact on my children's lives.
Thank you. Any other comments? Congratulations again to all the retirees. We look forward to your next chapter for you. We have a first and we have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
And Mr. Hart?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Consent items, Mrs. Cocker.
5.1, accept with gratitude the following donations. From Gary Kohler, a check for $1,000 to be applied equally to the 5 elementary library budgets to be used at the discretion of the 5 individual librarians for the educational benefit of their students. In memory of James Melcher, to be used for athletic activities, fees, or students in need. From Bruce and Linda Harbach, a check in the amount of $50. From Melissa C. Chimenti, a check in the amount of $25. From Stam and Joyce Zervanos, a check in the amount of $25. From Edwin and M. Elaine Schwenk, a check in the amount of $25.
Looking for a motion to approve these items?
So moved, Case.
Mr. Case first, do you have a second?
Schneider, second.
Mr. Schneider second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Under Human Resources, 6.1, request approval of the MOU between the WEA and the Wilson School District for the Early Retirement Incentive Plan, known as ARIP, as attached. 6.2, request approval of the MOU between Act 93 administrators and the Wilson School District for the Early Retirement Incentive Plan, as attached. 6.3, request approval of the MOU between the Wilson School District and Act 93 administrators for coursework completed, as attached. 6.4, looking to request to approve the employees for specialized leave under the FFCRA to ensure PSER's years of service credit is maintained. Looking for a motion to approve items 6.1 through 6.4 as attached.
So moved, Negrini.
Mr. Negrini, do you have a second?
Casper?
Mrs. Casper, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Student Services, Mrs. Cocker.
7.1, request permission to approve the adoption of a tuition contract agreement with Children's Home of Reading Center Ave Academy at a cost of $208 per special education student per day for the 2020-2021 school year. 7.2, request approval to contract with the Berks County Intermediate Unit to manage elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds for non-public services in accordance with the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act for LaSalle Academy, John Paul II Learning Center, St. Ignatius Loyola, and Sacred Heart Schools. The school district shall pay the BCIU a total amount not to exceed $7,070.40 to manage the ESSER fund requests and $294.60 for administrative costs. Services shall begin March 13th, 2020 and terminate on September 30th, 2022, pending solicitor review and approval. 7.3, request approval of a service agreement with Dr. Suzanne Nangle to perform an independent educational evaluation at a fee not to exceed $4,500 in accordance with Board Policy 113.2.
Looking for a motion to approve items 7.1 through 7.3 as presented. Do I have a motion?
Casper.
Mrs. Casper first. Do we have a second?
Schneider,
Martin,
second.
Mr. Schneider, second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cocker,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Casper,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
8.1 under technology. Request approval of the new lease agreements for multifunction copiers, 60-month lease from Stratic Systems, Wyomissing, Pennsylvania, for 5 multifunction copiers to replace expiring leases at multiple schools for a total of $668 a month. Do we have a motion?
Martin.
Mr. Martin first. Do we have a second?
McCray?
Mr. McCray second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Casper,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker,
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Under Finance, 9.1, request approval of the 2021-2022 BCIU mandated services budget. Wilson's share is $93,928.34. A link to the budget was provided to the board previous to this meeting. 9.2, request approval to authorize Dr. Andrew Hoffert, Director of Student Supports and Services, to serve as the agent of the district for the purposes of applying for federal grant funds designated for COVID relief. 9.3, request to approve. Mr. Martin?
I'm sorry, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
can I interrupt you for a second?
You may. Yes.
Yes, for 9.3, I just wanted to let the public know that earlier this evening, we had an executive session. The board considered and took action on a proposed settlement of the business privilege and mercantile tax. The board is prohibited by state law from disclosing the name of the taxpayers or any other information with respect to that matter, since all that information is considered confidential. The board decided in executive session to accept the proposed settlement to give the CFO authority to enter into this agreement. Unfortunately, no further information can be disclosed about the matter, and I move in accordance with the board's discussion session to move forward with the settlement after you read the statement.
Thank you. 9.3, request to approve the proposed settlement of business privilege and mercantile tax matters and to authorize the CFO to enter into a settlement agreement subject to the approval of the language of the agreement by the business tax attorney. 9.4, request approval to accept 2020 Live Healthy School Grant check in the amount of $2,500 from Capital Blue Cross to be used to support Wilson's programs to educate students about the value of lifelong physical activity and healthy eating. Looking for a motion to approve items 9.1 through 9.4 as presented.
Martin moves.
Mr. Martin first. Do you have a second?
Schneider, second.
Mr. Schneider second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Casper,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Under curriculum, 10.1, request approval of the secondary program of studies for the 2021-2022 as attached. Looking for a motion?
McCray?
Mr. McCray first, do I have a second?
Schneider second.
Mr. Schneider, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mrs. Casper,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Nothing under section 11 for miscellaneous. Under committee reports, Berks Career and Technology Center, Mrs. Casper.
Yeah, so we met on Wednesday, January 27th, at the East Campus and via Zoom. We spent a lot of time going over the new budget proposals, and BCTC has been dealing with an overall decline in enrollment this past year. And I continue to be concerned that our district consistently has the largest number of students with special needs or students with IEPs who enroll in their programs. I'm just wondering what the process is like for recruiting Wilson students to BCTC prior to entering the 9th grade. And I hope to learn a little bit more about this through my participation in the district's comprehensive plan. As far as recruitment of students into their programs and how to combat the general stigma that CTC schools are not for college-bound students, we had a really lively discussion at our meeting, and a lot of us agreed that parents need to be included more in the recruitment process for students as far as strategic outreach from our school counselors and direct mailers from BCTC. We also agreed that students need earlier exposure to the various career paths offered at BCTC, even prior to the 6th grade. And of course, that then takes me to the real treat of our meeting, which was learning a little bit more about some of their programs. So they highlighted two of their programs in the certification for protective services. The first was Homeland Security and law enforcement. Both of these programs are highly competitive in our particular area. And I found the training descriptions that we heard were compatible with programs that require a 4-year degree. And the reason I know this is because a majority of my students that I get are in a 4-year degree program. They're required to take my courses in fields such as criminal justice. So I know that a lot of our degree programs, our 4-year degree programs, are not giving the extent of the applications that the BCTC programs are offering here. So both of these programs also are addressing the very difficult topic of racial bias in law enforcement and in other first responder type of occupations. So I was really happy to hear about that, as I know that this is a difficult matter to address, especially when it comes to recruitment and even for vetting students who will be successful in these types of careers. Overall, we all really enjoyed the presentations, and I think these are both exceptional programs that our students can pursue. So that's my BCTC report. Our next meeting is Wednesday, February 24th at the West Campus.
Thank you. Equity Task Force, Mrs. Casper.
There's no report for that. Our next meeting is this Wednesday, February 3rd at 3.
Great, thank you. Berks County IU, Dr. Kennedy.
We met last Thursday for the IU, and the most important news from the IU is that we did get our budget, which we approved just now at this meeting. The other really nice thing that the IU always does every year at their first meeting of the year is to recognize high school artists whose paintings are submitted and then displayed at the IU for the remainder of the year. And Wilson's a submission was from Madeline Putt, and her painting will hang up on, hopefully I'll get to see it in person soon, up at the IU. And they were able to virtually congratulate all the students, and they did show us a virtual slideshow of all the art from all the students, which was really nice to see. So that's all I have to report for the Berks County IU.
How about Curriculum Committee?
Okay, the Curriculum Committee, we have not met since last time, but I do want to say thank you to the board for just approving the high school programs of studies that we spoke about last time, which is, again, fantastic changes to meet the needs of all the students and to give more choice to our students starting in the middle school. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Berks,
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Hart, if I could just add one thing.
You may.
In addition to what Dr. Kennedy said, to sort of echo Mr. Negrini's comments earlier, I know I've only been on the board a short time, but in that time on the curriculum committee, I've gotten to work quite extensively with Dr. Andes, and I would just like to congratulate her on her retirement. Well-deserved, well-earned.
Thank you. Berks CIT, Mrs. Schlossman.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. I did want to give you an update. The Berks EIT did meet in December on the 17th, and I wanted to give you an update from that meeting. They did approve the calendar year 2021 budget of $2.4 million, basically flat from last year, which grants them a operating income budgeted of $500,000. They did review the year-to-date November 2020 calendar year financials. Now, keep in mind that budget was built pre-COVID because it's calendar year. So they're realizing results down from 2019, better than originally projected after the pandemic hit. So that's good news. The EIT collections are down 4% from the prior year. The business privilege tax is down 16% from the prior year. Now, they don't collect that for Wilson. We collect our own, but that might be some foreshadowing for us. LST is down 6% from 2019. There was an update on the new employer and individual online filing opportunities. You all should have hopefully received your postcards in the mail, encouraging you to file online this year for your personal local income taxes. We did have an election of officers. Chairperson is Diane Richards. Vice chairperson is Wayne Garris. Treasurer is me. And secretary is Rosemary Lamastra. And we have set our quarterly meetings for this calendar year in March, June, September, and December. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Extracurricular, Mrs. Cocker.
Yes, we have not had a meeting since our last board meeting, but our next committee meeting is next Monday, February 8th at noon.
Great, thank you. Facilities, Mr. Negrini.
Our next meeting is February 8th at 4:30.
Finance, Mr. Martin.
Our next meeting is tomorrow at 4:30.
Actually, I think it was moved to Wednesday. Because
Okay. Okay, it's moved to Wednesday. Next meeting is Wednesday at 4:30.
All right, thank you. Human Resources, no report. Legislative, Mr. Martin.
Just a couple of things of interest. You probably read that the staff passed that $912 million relief for COVID package, with most of that going to renters, or I should say tenants, businesses and so forth, but $197 million is to go to schools and school districts in Pennsylvania. The bulk of that is designated for school districts that have not received any government assistance up to this point. So I'm not sure exactly if we'll get any, but it will be going to schools that have not received any benefits of the previous packages. The budget, the governor's talking about his budget, of course, that's always forefront. This year, obviously, the huge discussion is the COVID situation, how to get businesses back online, to continue to pay taxes, to rebuild the budget and the reserves. As you know, the reserves have been depleted. Ironically, though, he's proposing to reduce corporate taxes slightly in on 1/1/22 to 9.49, and then to decrease it to 6.49 by 2026. I'm not sure where the offset that's going to come from, but that's kind of where we're at on that. And we're one step closer to getting a Constitution amendment on the ballot for May. The Senate has passed twice now with bipartisan support to limit the powers of the governor to dictate for more than a certain period of time his offers to, and I shouldn't say offers, his orders on such things. One of them has been outstanding for 3 years, and that's the battle on opioids. So it's going to it's going to go to the House now. The House has to get passed twice. Senate passed it twice. The House is seeking approval. And once again, they feel that will be without an incident, because last time it was approved 115 to 86. And if it is approved again, it will make it to the ballot in May. That's it.
Thank you. Public Relations, Mrs. Troutman.
Thank you. I just have a couple of items that I wanted to share. National School Counseling Week 2021 is being celebrated this week to highlight the impact our school counselors have in helping our students achieve school success and plan for a career. So here at Wilson, our counselors are actively engaged in helping students examine their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents. They also work in partnership with parents as they encounter the challenges of raising children in today's world. And they work with our teachers and other educators to provide an educational system where students can realize their potential and set healthy, realistic, and optimistic aspirations for themselves. So for all the contributions to the lives of our students, we're excited to honor and acknowledge our fantastic team of school counselors. So we will be celebrating them this week through social media as well as the Bulldog Blitz. And I just encourage all of you to continue to thank that amazing team of school counselors for all they do each and every day. I also wanted to let you know that, as you all know, the Grandview Gallery is really a great part of our school district. And because of obviously the current gathering restrictions in this COVID environment, they've been shifting their exhibits this year to the virtual environment. You may have recalled that they did a great exhibit, a virtual exhibit featuring art of our current staff. Now they're shifting to an alumni virtual exhibit. So they're calling right now for submissions. And the new exhibit is going to be entitled Near and Far. So I'm just going to encourage any alumni artists to check out our website. I just posted the link on the homepage of the website today. So alumni can see how they can submit artwork for this online exhibit. So as soon as it's up and running, I will report that back out and we'll share that through district communications so that everyone can enjoy the virtual exhibits of the Grandview Gallery. And then finally, the Wilson School District hosted our 2021 Wilson Spelling Bee competition on Monday, January 25th. Each middle school hosted a grade level competition and all of the winners competed in a school-specific spelling bee to determine the winners. So we want to congratulate our Southern Middle School winner, Sindora Sridhar, and our West winner, Addie Nyack. Both of these students will be advancing to the PSEA NER Council 4 regional finals on March 7th. So we want to wish them all the best of luck. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Education Foundation, Mr. Case.
Yes, the Wilson Education Foundation met on this Friday, and there's two notes that I'd like to mention from the meeting. One is that the Ed Foundation is still accepting venture grant applications. They're going to be accepted through Monday, February 8th. And the grant recipients will be notified the week of February 22nd, which is kind of great because then we'll start learning about some of the fun projects the teachers will be doing this spring. Another great thing coming up is hopefully everyone got their orders in for the Wilson Wing Night. I just learned a little bit about the backstory of Wilson Wing Night on Friday, which is pretty exciting. So I want to share that. If anyone recalls, I think it was either through the Bulldog Blitz or a newsletter, the Wilson Ed Foundation did a Make a Memorable Moment where they shared some money with each of the principals throughout the district to make a memorable moment for the entire school. So this pays tribute to how creative our staff is. Dr. Dan Weber decided to take that and amp that up a bit, and he got Sarah Jin involved, who's our Director of Food Services, and they decided to give free wings to any student who wanted to, in our district, any student who wanted to sign up for that. So that wing night is going to be, I believe, on Super Bowl, and it's just kind of a nice community outreach where people can come in. The orders were due yesterday, so I'm sorry to bring this up if you didn't get your order in, it's too late. But it really is just a nice gesture that my family registered this weekend. We're going to get a bunch of whole wings, and I know that they had a real good turnout where a bunch of people are going to come on the Super Bowl day, pick up wings, and go home and eat them. So I just wanted to thank Sarah and Dr. Weber for all the hard work and the WEF for putting that together, making things like this happen in our school district. That's all I have.
Great.
Two good news things.
Great, thank you. Technology, Mr. Schneider.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have anything as exciting as Wing Night, but I think we should integrate that to the next in-person technology committee meeting. We should have some wings on hand. Thanks for the suggestion, Mr. Case. Today, we did talk about several changes to contracts that we have that need to be renewed. The good news is, by and large, they save the district money. We talked about PD, what they're looking at in terms of what they've done in terms of PD to this point, as well as some of the things they're looking at to do for next year. They're looking at some really interesting technology, which our students were previously fairly limited on in terms of their being able to use it on their Chromebook. But now they'll be able to access some of those apps through some of this new technology, and also looking into the purchasing or leasing of some new computers for five different grade levels. And I believe our next meeting is April 6th.
All right.
That's my report.
Thank you. Student Outreach, Ms. Johnny Clark.
In honor of Black History Month, STAR is working with student government to include student voices at Wilson. Students are being asked to create a visual that includes 6 words describing what the word race means to them. The original idea was from a project that Berks County Volunteer Corps displayed in the Berks County Community Foundation Center. Wilson seniors will be visiting 5th grade classrooms through Google Meets this week to talk about post-secondary plans. The seniors will take the 5th graders through the highs and lows of their high school careers. They will also discuss how high school has prepared them for their post-secondary plans and what skills and interests led them in this direction. Adding on to what Mr. Case had to say about Wing Night, the Wilson Education Foundation partnered with the Wilson Food Service Department and Wilson High School to create a memorable night for our Wilson students. It's being held on Friday, February 12th. The wing pickup.
Thank you for that clarification.
Families are encouraged to get their wings and go home to watch our high school boys basketball team take on the Governor Mifflin Mustangs. The orders are not closed, but they received over 400 dozen wing orders. So that was a great outcome, and it's going to be a great night. Speaking of basketball, both the boys and girls basketball teams are having amazing seasons that they will be able to share with senior students. Seniors were given the chance to fill out a form to possibly receive tickets to attend a basketball game this season. Boys swimming has won all of their meets this season and has several students who have qualified for districts. Senior night for the team was supposed to be tomorrow. I'm not sure if they're canceling it or not, but I hope to bring you guys back a report about how senior night went. And the girls swimming has also had a successful season with only one loss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to add about Gianni's report on her participation with the Berks, Voice Up Berks, and this project that they're doing for Black History Month. I attended their last meeting and was incredibly impressed with the conversations that our students are having around racism and social justice issues. And I'm so excited to hear that we have the 4th largest participation of all our county schools in this program. And I would love to get some of you to talk a little bit about your projects before the board at some point. So I'm really excited to hear more about how this project, how the outcome of this project ends up. So thank you, Gianni.
Thank you.
And just real quick, thank you, Gianni. And just to just double clarify, the Super Bowl is on the 7th and Wing Night is Friday the 12th. I got all excited with the whole Super Bowl thing. Everyone's got to get their own wings on Super Bowl night. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. No public communication or comment, but Mr. Ravitch, anything you'd like to add?
I'll roll it. I'm hungry for wings now. I mean, that's almost 5,000 wings, guys.
Any other matters to present before the board? Looking for a motion to adjourn? Looking for a motion? Case first.
McCray?
Mr. McCray, second. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.